All right, shalom everyone, and shalom and peace for those who love peace, and no peace for the wicked, the Lord said. I hope, guys, you can hear me very well, and my audio is coming good. If we have a Muslim would like to join us, I heard there's a person, his name is Khalid, and he want to destroy me. I hope he will be very easy on me and don't destroy me like one hit. Come on, be nice. We are waiting for you, Khalid, to join us on the stage if you don't mind, so you can start destroying me. I'm sure it's going to be very easy for you, you know. Uh, does it sound good? All right. What is Khalid, the hero who wanna destroy me? Hmm? Casablanca? Well, you know, stop giving me speeches, Casablanca. What about you come to the stage? You know, I saw your hand is up. I invited you, and you refuse. You are playing games. So come to the stage and let us see how good you are. You are a Christian, so you're playing games. And don't troll with me, otherwise I will block you. Do we have any Muhammadan would like to join us? Any Muhammadan? Who is a Muhammadan here from the followers of Muhammad who worship Muhammad would like to join us? Any Muslim? You know, last time I was live, we have 4 Muslims who called me. One of them, he believed in Ahmed Mirza Ghulam, and he said it is no problem for him to believe that Ahmed Mirza Ghulam is the Messiah, even though he agree that this Messiah, he died because of diarrhea. And then we have other, you know, I mean, we have a bunch of weird Muslims. But as usual, all Muslims are weird. I mean, can you find a Muslim is not weird? It's impossible. And then if you listen to them, how they try to answer about the religion, you will see how Muslims are really very, very, I don't know, they are coming from different galaxy. No sound?
Hello?
Hello, hello?
Yeah, no, it's because your mods have muted or something.
It's okay. So, are you a Muslim?
I'm Muslim, man.
You are a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Muslim?
Yeah.
I think the word just mean the well, like what is the meaning of the word? What is the actual definition of the word?
I don't know. I mean, when you say to me, I'm a Muslim, what do you mean by saying that?
Um, I would say today we would say that a Muslim is someone who submits themselves to God and follows the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Hmm. How you submit yourself to God? Explain to me.
How do you submit yourself to God? I think submitting yourself to God would be by believing in Him, believing in His messengers, and following the laws that God has laid out for us, and then following the sunnah of the Prophet.
So, in order to submit to God, you have to follow the Sunnah of the Prophet. What is that? What Sunnah mean?
Sunnah is like well, I mean, sunnah is just to say like the teachings of the Prophet, like the
Oh,
ways of the Prophet,
all right.
because we believe that the sunnah like when like the prophets like for example like when the sunnah where talks about like there's some like rulings in the sunnah, right, for Sharia, like those are like we believe that's revelation from God.
All right. So, what I understand that Sunnah is that you do the practice of the Prophet, even physical practice, correct?
Yeah, but it just depends. Like for example, where when the where like the sunnah of the prophet be like growing a beard, right?
Uh-huh.
But in like certain schools of thoughts, like the Shafi,
Uh-huh.
shaving the beard isn't haram. It would just be considered disliked. So
Mm.
you'd still be considered Muslim, obviously.
Very interesting religion to the point that this God, he have rules for your beard, but he don't have rules in the Quran for rape.
Yeah, there is rules in the Quran for that for rape.
Can you show me?
Well, I mean, it says unlawful intercourse is haram, right?
No, no, show me where it says in the Quran what is the punishment for rape and where it mentioned that.
It says that in the Torah, and it says that in the Sunnah.
Okay, my friend, it says that in the Torah, but it
And we
doesn't
believe
say.
that's revelation from
So,
God.
so did Allah, he forgot to tell Muhammad about what is the penalty for rape?
No, because the prophet, there's a hadith where the prophet says that if anyone commits rape, to stone them.
Can you show me the hadith? And the same time, why it's not in the Quran? Is Muhammad replacing Allah?
It doesn't matter if it's not in the Quran, just like a lot of things are in the Quran. Like for example, we don't know who the prophet's wives are in the Quran, but that doesn't mean doesn't invalidate it.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, I'll bring you the hadith right now. Where I'll bring you the hadith though right now.
that is not going to change much if we know who is Muhammad's wives or not. We are talking about the rules of God. So if the Quran is the book of guidance, and you are saying to me in the book of guidance there is no guidance, then this is not a book of guidance. So why the Quran never mentioned the penalty for rape? Like why the Quran is spending time to tell us about the story of the flying carpet of Solomon, but the Quran don't have time to tell us what we should do if somebody rape a woman? And why the Torah mention it, but the Quran don't? If we have the same God, then the same God should have the same message and should
Mm-hmm.
provide us with the law. The
Yeah.
same he provided to Moses should have provided to the
Hold
Muslim.
up. Okay. So I got the hadith for you.
You know, I'm looking at the chat and I find it very funny. Like one says, this is a copy of the previous debate. Guys, we are playing for you the last video we had debate in a Muslim until we got a Muslim to show you how stupid Muslims are when they try to defend Islam. So stop complaining. This is a copy of the previous debate. Is that the previous debate? I mean, is it obvious? That do you need to think about it? Take it easy.
So it's in Abu Dawud 4379, and it's in Ibn Majah 2554, and it's authenticated by Albani. Says it's Hassan and Sahih.
Okay,
So that's the hadith where it says, I'll read the hadith. It says, a woman came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi
Abu
wasallam
Dawud, what a
and
number
said
again? Please, Abu Dawud, number what?
4379, and she said, I was raped.
4379, okay. All right.
She said, I was raped. The Prophet ﷺ sent someone to investigate. They found and brought the man who had raped her. He was sentenced to death, and the Prophet said, stone him to death.
But if you read the story for me, you will see that your prophet was not a prophet. Read the story for me, please.
Read the story. What story?
Read the story, just the one you mentioned.
I just read it out for you.
Okay, but the woman, she said to him, a man, he raped me. And what Muhammad did?
Did she? He told her to investigate,
Okay, and what happened?
and the guy was stoned.
Okay, based on what Muhammad
Mm-hmm.
was able to stone the man?
Want me to read out the full hadith?
No, no, I'm
Okay,
asking
I'll read
you.
out the full
No, no,
hadith.
no,
Let
listen,
me read out the full hadith.
no problem. But I'm asking you
Narrated Whale ibn
just to
Hajar.
make it clear, When Muhammad he practiced the stoning, he practiced what?
What do you mean he practiced what they stoned him?
Is he following Allah?
Of course.
Okay, where Allah said to him, if somebody do rape, you stone him.
Because in the Quran it says obey Allah and obey His Messenger. So
You are saying you Muslim. All right, let's say maybe we have a Muslim. Are you there, Mr. Happy? Happy?
Hello, what's up?
Hello, hello. Are you a Muslim?
No, I'm agnostic.
What does that mean?
It means I'm not so sure about God
Why you are not so sure?
because I don't believe in religion.
Do you believe you are exist?
Yes, I believe I exist. Wait, can I ask you about Jesus in the Old
Oh,
Testament?
hold on. How you can prove to me that you are exist?
Well, I can't really prove it. I just know that I could see through my eyes and I'm biologically here.
Well, there's many things we see through our eyes. Doesn't mean they are exist. As an example, if you drive in the highway, you will see water in the long distance if it's hot. But we know that this is not true. So there's many things we see by our eyes, not true, is exist. So if you
Yeah, you
see,
cannot exist, but in my experience, I could make this idea that you're here and I'm talking to you and I'm looking at you
so
and I'm thinking.
So how you know I am exist now?
Well, because you're here and I'm talking to you, and it's the best guest that I have.
AI can talk.
Yes, but it's the best guess that I have of why I'm here.
So everything you are about is about guessing.
No, not everything, but it's the best guess that I can.
What is the things you are sure about?
What am I sure about?
Uh-huh.
I guess nothing.
So why I want to talk to somebody is sure about nothing?
Well, because your definition of guessing is very like childish. Like
No,
it's
I
not
just
even
ask
logical.
you. Let's just see who's the childless. I ask you, there's anything you are sure about? You said nothing.
No, no. According to you, maybe already told you what I'm sure about from my subjective
What
experience. So
what are you sure about?
I'm sure about my biological existence, the fact that I'm here talking to you.
Okay, if somebody speak about you 10 years from now and you are dead, if there's any proof that you are exist?
Pardon me? Can you say that again?
After you die, let us say a century pass by, and somebody from your family, like I say, somebody wrote your name somewhere, and they mention your name. If there's any proof that you exist after 100 years.
Okay. What does that relate to my current experience?
No, I'm trying to understand, because your experience is based on what you can see physically, but what you see physically not necessarily is what it is, because there's many things we see physically, but it might be our way of seeing things. Like as an example, if we look at the ice, we give it a name. We call it ice. Why? Because simply it has a certain kind of physic, and it is solid, so we call it ice. But the same thing can be turned into water, and then we call it water. And then the same thing can turn into steam, but we don't see steam.
Yeah, so we're back where we started. It's all subjective and it's perception.
So if
Right.
if we cannot see water when it is a steam, how we can prove it exists?
It's an idea.
What do you mean it's an idea? It's a real water.
Yes, but it's your perception of what water is, what the
No,
form
it's
of
not my
water is.
perception. This is science. This is a pure science. So the water can be ice, solid, like a rock. The water can be liquid, we call it water, and the same liquid water can be steam, which is invisible. But
Okay.
now, if we agree that we can check things out physically only, then we should not agree that water can be exist as a steam, because there's no, we cannot see it until it became water again. Like if you have a cold window and outside it's cold, inside it's hot, then the water will become again water, or the steam become water, and then we can see it. Otherwise, there's no proof of existence.
Okay, so what are we getting at here? Sorry, can you
What
just
I'm
tie this
trying to
back?
say to you that the proof of existence you are using is wrong. It's not scientifically accurate, and it's not true.
Okay, can I ask you now what existence
What,
is to you?
what is existence for me?
Yeah.
Well, I believe that God is exist, because simply our topic is about you being agnostic and you are not sure. So for me, I believe God is exist, and the same method I showed you about water to be solid, to be liquid, to be steam, I can measure that to my belief. So God, he came to us physically. We saw him, not necessarily me. I mean, let us say our ancestor, they saw God coming to them in the flesh. God, he is not with us as a person. God is with us as a spirit. So we don't see the spirit, but we can feel the spirit. The same as when the sun rises on the sky, we can feel the heat, but we cannot see the heat. We can see the light, but we cannot see the heat. So the sun is a star. The star produces light and produce heat. We can see the star, we can see the light, but there's something we can't see, but we can feel. And this is how it is about God. So there's something you can see, and there's something you can feel. You, as an agnostic, you don't feel, you don't see, and you are not exist, because you dump all the senses God he gave you, and you ignore it, and you decide to say, I'm not sure.
Wait, how did you tie your senses, you feeling heat and like water existing and steam existing to a god like being
It's very
to a
simple.
god carrying?
First of all, maybe you are ignorant about the humidity, because when it's a
How
humid,
does that relate?
when it is a humid, you can feel it, but you cannot see it.
Okay. Okay, but how does that relate to the Aramaic Jesus that those people saw? How does that make him universal? How does
Because
that relate to your
because
senses?
simply God, everything is created by God, have His fingerprint, which mean any piece of art, an artist when he finish painting, he have signature. Even if he have no signature, those who they are skilled, they will tell you this is a paint made by this artist because this is how he do it and nobody do it like him. So everything around us is a proof that it is a fingerprint of God because it is copying the same pattern as God is existence. So there's many things around us. Like you, when you were a baby, you were invisible inside your mother. But because I cannot see what is inside your mother, does not mean that you are not exist. So it's very foolish to
What do you mean
say.
invisible?
So
What do you mean
it's
invisible?
very foolish to say, I believe in what I see only.
Okay.
Hmm.
I wasn't invisible when I was in my mom. If someone were
No,
to
you
like
were.
chop my
No,
mom's
you were.
stomach in
No, you
half, I'd be
were.
there.
No, you were.
If someone were to like dissect my mom's stomach, I'd be there. My
No,
body would
still,
be there.
still you are invisible because simply nobody saw you. You know, if you are talking about the machine, this machine is a new thing. Still, you are still invisible. Without the machine, you are invisible. So your existence now depends on a machine, but machine is just a machine. It's an X-ray. So this machine is not the one who prove your existence. It is you exist first before the machine, and then the machine just tell you what is inside. So if I don't see you, I am as a human, not a machine. According to you, you are not exist. But this is a fallacy and not true. Because many things you yourself one day was not be able to be seen by anybody. You are a semen, just a semen. And then the semen went to the egg, and then the egg multiply, and etc. And then you become a baby, and then even when you are a baby inside your mother womb, nobody still can see you. And then you came out. The second you came out, people they can feel you, see you, and acknowledge your existence. But guess what? Even by law, you are exist. The second your mother, she is having you in her womb. This is why if a person he killed a woman, she is having a child in her womb, he will be charged for two murder. The first one for the child, the second one for the mother. So your existence has nothing to do with being visible, and you are being ignorant.
How does this relate to us being like us being like signed by God, like you said?
I don't understand you. You are speaking to yourself.
No, no, you said we were signed by God, like our existence, our biological being is like proof that God exists.
Because simply how you came to existence. You tell me how you came from your mother, and your mother came from her parents. Okay, how the first man came to exist according to your physical approval. Remember, you are the one who believe in what you see. So how the first man came to existence? Are you there?
Who knows?
Is that an answer of somebody he is speaking about science?
No, it's unknown.
Is that an answer for someone who believe in science and known?
Yes, that's an answer. That's the most scientific answer
So
you can get
how that is scientific by saying unknown?
because we haven't discovered it yet.
But how you can speak of science you did
Oh,
not discover?
how do you know? How do we know we're not in a simulation, Christian Prince?
Listen, you are talking about science, and science is about what we know, not what we don't know.
Okay.
If we do not know, we cannot call it science.
Yeah, then it's just a truth,
So I'm asking
the
you
unknown.
now how the first man came to existence.
That's an unknown.
This is not an answer. I thought you see, you are the one who said to me, if I
We
don't
simply
see,
don't have the information. We
you
don't
are
have the
contradicting yourself. You are contradicting yourself because you said you believe in what you see, but nobody saw the first man.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm telling you that information doesn't
So
exist, and we
how
can't
you
prove
know
it here.
how you know his exist or ever
I
exist?
don't.
You
I
don't.
don't.
So
I don't.
how you came to existence yourself?
Well, I could comprehend my lineage. What's that point?
Okay, but then you have to continue until you arrive where you came from.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's so far back that I simply can't give you an accurate answer.
All right,
Does that
so
make sense?
you are you are saying I cannot give you an accurate answer. But that means you cannot be accurate about anything because everything you are talking about is just blah blah blah.
If you're oversimplifying it, sure.
Yeah. So why I want to waste my time with someone believing blah blah blah?
Well, I don't want to waste your time. I just think believing in Jesus is super childish
Why?
because I don't think some guy died for your sins. Sins are subjective.
Sin is subjective. What does that mean?
Like, what's inherently bad about sin?
What is what?
What's inherently bad about sin?
Bad
Yeah, yeah. What's
is
bad? What's
so
evil?
is sin is not bad?
No.
Oh, okay. So if if I sleep with your wife, is that okay?
To you, it might be fine. To me, it's not.
Why it's not?
Because you're an animal and you have like individual selfish desires.
But you said sin is not bad.
No, sin being the bad action, to you, to your conscience, it won't be
No,
bad
no, I'm
because you're the
asking
one
you.
doing
Listen,
it.
listen.
You're the one getting pleasure.
You are going against your own. Is sin bad or not?
What do you mean?
I ask you, is sin is bad? You said no.
I know. Yeah, sin is not bad.
Okay, so if I sleep with your wife, is that bad?
To me, yes. To you, no.
Why? Why? If it's sin, not bad.
If I sleep with your whole like females in your family,
No
would that be
problem. You
bad?
see, you are trying to avoid the what you just
Would
said.
that be bad for
You
me?
said I believe in sin. I believe sin is bad. But you said not me. Sin is not bad. So if somebody, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm trying to have a conversation with you. It's not about your wife or my wife. I'm not trying to insult you.
All
So if
right.
somebody slept with your wife, is that bad or good? You jump right away, say this is bad. But a second ago you said to
No,
me
no, no,
sin is not
no,
bad.
no, 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 no. For you, it's a good thing. For me, it's a
It's
bad
not
thing.
about for me or you. What's wrong with you? Are you a kid? This is not about for me.
Yeah,
This is
there's
I'm
different
asking you,
individuals. There's different
for
parties
you.
involved.
I'm asking you
What are you
for
on about, old
I'm
man?
asking you for you.
There's different parties
You
involved.
said listen, you said sin is not bad. For you. Sin is not bad.
Okay.
So how come if somebody slept with your wife is bad?
There's different parties involved and there's different like
So
emotions
what the
involved.
different party? What's wrong with you? I'm asking you. Sin for you
You're
is not
gaining
bad.
pleasure,
So
I'm gaining suffering.
why you are now upset because somebody slept with your wife? If you don't believe sin is bad.
Well, it's suffering for me and it's pleasure
Why
for
is
you. So
suffering? But it's not bad. You just said to me it's not bad, so it's good.
no, no, no.
There's
For
either
you,
way,
for the one
bad
who
or
did the
good.
action,
Huh?
for the one
Listen,
who did the action, it's good. It's pleasure. For me, it's
why there is suffering for you?
because it's gonna feel like my property is being taken.
Your wife is your property.
Oh, but in like in our intellectual psychology, it is.
So you believe that a woman you have is your property, and then if somebody step with your property, you feel you are violated, right?
Yeah.
What if somebody rape you?
Someone who raped me,
Uh-huh.
well, I'd probably want to rape them back.
Okay. Is that bad or good?
They raped me first, it would be like kind of just
No,
justice.
is it bad if he raped you first? Did he do bad or good?
He did bad for me, good for him.
But you said sin is not bad.
No, sin is subjective.
You keep repeating the same thing. Are you a parrot? I'm asking you. A man he raped you.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that
That
bad?
I
You
have
said
to reword
yes.
what
You
I
said
said.
yes. Okay.
Sin is subjective.
Why it is bad?
No, I guess a better way to put it is it's subjective. There's two parties.
Who care about two party? I mean, this is not about two party for sure. Two party.
Well,
Otherwise, he's
don't
not.
don't
If
oversimplify it.
there
Then
is
we're
no
not gonna even look into
listen,
details.
you are talking like Abdul. When we say somebody rape you, obviously there's a rapist and somebody being raped. So we know there's two party. You're not being smart here. Like guys, do you know that there's one he eat the apple and there's an apple? So now we have two party. We know that. So now you said sin is not bad. How in the same time you say that if somebody rape you is doing bad? If he
What
is
if I
doing,
enjoyed
he is
it?
doing sin, he is doing sin, he's doing sin,
What if I enjoyed it? What
you
if I
told
like
him,
being raped?
sin is not bad. You told him that. Let us see, a guy came to you and he asked you, do you think sin is bad? You say no, him to no, absolutely. And then he, okay, I'm going to rape you. I want to do this sin. It's not bad. You told me. So why now you're upset? You just gave him permission and you encouraged him to do sin.
What if I liked being raped?
Oh, that's a fun story. And now I understand you are a person who like to be effed.
Okay. Is
Okay.
that a personal insult? That's
No,
Adham.
it's not. It's not you who.
Logical.
It's you who said that to me, guys. Is it me who said that to him? It's you who said to
Wait,
me,
why did you bring up
what if I
rape?
like?
What did rape have to do?
Just get out of here. I have no time for kids. Stupid kids. Guys, this guy, he liked to be raped. What if I like to be raped? You know, the only reason to believe sometimes that there's no God is people like you. I mean, how God, the intelligent, the supreme, he created such a dumb person like you. But then I would say, you know what? You choose to be dumb, it's not God. This is your own choice, right? So you're being stupid. In one hand, you say something, in the other hand, you believe in something else. You know, are you against sin or will you sin? Subjective. This is a person who want to be like a diarrhea. You know, there's shit, there's diarrhea, and what is diarrhea? Simply is a liquid shit. So like he don't want you to hold his shit, so he give you diarrhea. It's very hard to hold. It's a liquid, but it's trust me, still it's a shit. So your answer is a shitty answer. Excuse my language. Always those potatoes don't dare to answer the question directly, and they try to play games, and they think they are smart. But you know, we know that it's not true. We know that this is a very, uh, you know, trashy mentality. Do we have any Abdul? You want to ask me a question? Are you a Muslim, my friend? If you are a Muslim, you'd like to join us, please feel free. All right. You are agnostic, you know, this shish kebab. It's just, you know, it's you give yourself a title, agnostic. Agno and ostic and all you can put all the titles together. All what I understand from you that you are a lost person. You better put some rings in your nose. And then after you put rings in your nose, you go, because you are more confused now, you put rings in your ears, and then you go and put rings in your vagina or your penis, and then you put rings in your anus, and then you keep putting rings and tattoo. All right. And then the more you add rings, uh, you become the lord of the ring, you think of yourself, but you are powerless. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Christian Prince. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I wanted to ask you, my best friend
Can you
is from
speak?
Kuwait.
For some reason, your voice is not clear.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, it's better now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said my best friend is
Okay.
from Kuwait. We live in the UK,
All right.
and I think he has, like, I tried to explain to him about like the stuff that you teach, and he's a bit confused. But I don't know why he doesn't want to leave his religion. So I was asking if one day he can speak to you and then you can, clarify more stuff to him.
Well, anytime you can invite him right now. You know, he's welcome, and we will speak to him nicely. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. And a Muslim, and he's confused. All Muslims are confused. I mean, anyone who have a God, his name is Allah, he must be confused. Allah himself is confused.
Yeah.
Like one verse in the
But I
Quran
think
says, one verse in the Quran he say he created the mountains first. The other verse he says he created the stars first. The other verse he says created the earth first. You know, this is the God of confusion. And then this
but
God,
you know one thing.
uh-huh.
You know one thing. I think he's a bit scared of his parents because he lives in the UK and then his parents have money and they bought everything to him. So I think he's scared to lose all this.
Well, you know, I mean, if he's scared to lose, the most thing I would be scared to lose is my mind and my brain, because
Yeah.
stupidity is what scare me. You know, not losing my parents, because one day I will lose my parents anyway. Everybody would die. This is not an
Yeah.
issue. This is not, and there's nobody will stay and nobody will live forever. All of us, you know, Jesus said, "Let the dead bury the dead." Why? Because everybody is
Yeah.
dead. We are just living temporarily, and then
Yeah.
we will live
True.
forever with Him. Those who they are chosen to be with God, they will be with God, and those who chosen to be with the devil, they will live forever too, but with the devil. So we make a choice, and everybody goes where he belongs.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. I'll invite him. I'll invite him. Probably I'll try now, but probably he's busy.
Anytime.
I would like to invite him when I'm next to him so we can
All right.
both talk
Anytime, anytime.
together.
You are
All right.
welcome. my
God
friend.
bless you.
God
God bless you.
God bless. Take
Thank you.
care. You know, I better lose everybody, but not to be with everybody. Because, you know, being with rotten potato or tomato or apples will make nothing except smell and bad. Nothing good, nothing good by being around with someone is bad. It doesn't matter who they are, even if they are my parents. Right? And you know, the Bible did not teach you to hate your parents, never. In fact, the Bible teaches you to obey, but you don't obey wrong. Like, what if if your father is a pimp and he wants you to be a pimp? The Bible says obey your parents, but he's talking about parents, not pimps. Parents who they are good, loving, wonderful people. So the obedience is limited to the one who obey God. So if my parents obey God, I obey them. If they don't, I don't. Otherwise, they will lead me and mislead me and to go to hell. All right. You know, many people, they supposedly they claim to be Christian. They say to you, God love everybody, and they keep repeating this, right? You know, God love you, God love you. And then, you know, they forgot that, you know, the wise person, the wisdom of a man, when he starts fearing God. Yes, God, he loved me, but I fear God because simply I know that if I lose him, I lost everything. So God loves me doesn't mean that he have like an open check account for me. I can be a pimp, I can be a piece of garbage, I can be a trashy, I can be a scammer, I can be a prostitute. You know, I cannot, because simply when you do those things, you don't fear God, which means you don't fear losing him. And that means to fear to lose the love of God. And then if we lose the love of God, what is going to be? Is going to be we will win the anger of God. And then the God who we don't fear him no more, he will give us what we deserve. All right? Do we have any Muslim would like to join us? If you are a Muslim and you are sure from your God, please join us. All right? Any Muhammadan? Anyone? Don't worry, if you are a Muslim, you know, Allah will be with you. You know, like in my book, it says, if God is with me, who could be against me? So I can apply maybe the same to you. Like Allah will be in your side, so why you are worried? Hmm? Or you Muslims only like to debate those who do not know Islam very well, so you can lie to them and you can give them all kind of false answers. And that's why we see in the internet Christians saying Islam without lies dies. You choose carefully who you want to talk to. The second you notice that this person, he knew that Islam is just a not only false cult, it's not even a cult. I mean, just a collection of many cults. In fact, name for me one story in the Quran is not taken from somebody else, regardless if it's true or not. Everything in your so-called religion is taken from somebody else, including the virgins, including the long penis. Your orgasm will be 70 years. Why 70 years? Even the number 70, you took it from somebody. All the numbers in the Quran is taken from somebody. Muhammad is a copyright violator. If the Bible says 7, Muhammad, he repeat the word 7. If the Bible says 40, Muhammad, he say 40. If the Bible says 72, then Muhammad will say 70. If any book says something, that's why the Quran says that Muhammad is an ear. He is what? He is an ear. Which means in his time, the Muslims and the Arab, they noticed that Muhammad is nothing but a copy cat person. Is that right? Hmm? This is your Quran. He is only a ear. In fact, the translation is not accurate. He is only an ear. Tell him any story. You know, the earth in the top of a wheel, Muhammad, he take it. Suleiman, he have a flying carpet, Muhammad, he take it. Suleiman, he spoke to the ant. Those are the legend of the Jews. Muhammad, he take it. A guy who drank from the fountain of youth and he became a green, Mr. Green. And he lived forever now because simply he drank from the fountain of youth. He never get old. Muhammad, he take it. Any story in the Quran is coming from where? Somewhere. Either from very ancient legend like Gilgamesh, or from a true story about Jesus is born of the Virgin Mary. Everything he have is a copy of somebody. Do we have any Muhammadan would like to tell us about the man who is an ear? What else he did here? And then when Muhammad he tried to to tempt you to go to his heaven, he promised you women who they are naked and they are ready, their legs is open and their vagina is so big and your penis will never go limp. What Muhammad he have for you to provide besides fairy tale stories about penis? And why Allah cannot make your penis now give or go limp? Why you're in heaven will never? I mean, imagine you are in heaven now and this penis is always, excuse my language, your penis never go limp. How you can walk with it? Especially it's so big and endless. Like, don't you take a break? Isn't it obvious that this man is just mentally ill? Even the promise is not a promise of a person have a brain. And even when he promised you women, they look like an X-ray. They are ugly, they are disgusting. I mean, how in the world you can even get horny by seeing women marrow? You see the marrow of their bones. How that will make you excited? They are so beautiful, brother. So beautiful. Pure and transparent to the point you will see the marrow of their bones through their legs. That is so beautiful. That is God's promise, isn't it? I mean, who can come with such a promise unless person he is suffering from mental illness? And then you want to convince people around you that Islam is from God. Why? Because you believe in one God. Who cares if you believe in one or two? And then if we check even that one about monotheism, we will find it's not true. Because you believe in Tawheed, and Tawheed means unification. And you cannot believe in oneness as a one person, as God, and then you call it Tawheed. So your God is not even good in Arabic. Your prophet don't speak good Arabic. It's like a Pakistani guy come to Saudi Arabia and start speaking very weird, broken Arabic. And he think people understand him. Look at your beautiful wives. Now for sure those who they are in Discord cannot see what I'm showing. Isn't this is so beautiful? This is your wife in heaven. It fit perfectly with your prophet description. I'm not making things up. All right? This is your prophet description. Have you ever thought about it? So, very sexual cult, but this sexual cult not only sexual, it's so stupid. Why does God want to make women for me? I can see the marrow of their bones. Do he think I'm a dog? I will be excited. My saliva will run when I see bones. Are we going to cook them or have sex with them? And now when she drink wine with you, or excuse me, you put your penis inside her, you will see it, right? You will see everything. You see the liquid coming to her stomach, the wine coming down, your penis going in. Do you see her shit? That is so beautiful. Do we have any Muslim who believe that he will have many of those? The lowest reward is 72 bones, women bones. You know, like if you go to the store, they will see that the chicken without bones are more expensive. In Islam, no. Look how beautiful. MashaAllah. I mean, looking at those pictures alone, I don't know. I'm being tempted. I'm single. This is so beautiful. Do we have any Muslim in Discord would like to join us? Hmm? I mean, I thought you're Muslim.
Muslim is here.
Hello?
Hi.
Are you a Muslim?
No.
So
Anymore.
why you are in the stage?
I just wanted to know that I am your fruits of your work, and I left Islam
Oh, okay. So now you
I
used
will,
to be a Muslim and you left Islam?
because of you.
Because of Jesus, my friend, not me. Tell me about what happened.
You might remember me. We spoke before about 5 or 6 years ago. I'm from the city of Bukhara.
Oh, okay. So, you know, forgive me.
I was
It's very hard for me to remember. I spoke, you know, I spoke to a huge number of people.
yeah,
So, like at that time when you called me, you were a Muslim still?
I was Muslim. Yeah, I was in doubt
Okay. All right.
because of listening your um, your speech, and after I realized that the Islam is not a true religion, and you suggest me to go back, and if you in doubt, as the Quran says in 1094, that
Mm-hmm.
if you are in doubt, go back to the scriptures before,
Uh-huh.
and I started reading, as you suggested, the book of John, and I read the book of John and Mark and Luke and Matthew. After researching, after realizing, and after reading all that thing, it took me long, and I realized that Jesus is the way, and he came to me.
Wonderful. What do you like to tell us about, like, how, what do you mean we came to you?
A few months ago, my father, he wasn't Muslim, you know, he was educated person. He had this stroke 3 years ago, and a few months ago, he was in bed, and he was struggling, and asked Jesus, please, Jesus, my father had enough, and take him. And he took him after I asked, you know.
All right.
That's my testimony.
Well, I'm happy for you and happy that you decide to leave Islam. So now, are you the only person in the family, like, you know, who decide to become a Christian, or there is more?
My wife and my children are still like agnostics,
Okay.
but I'm not imposing like Islam, you know. Islam is the wrong.
If you like me to speak to your wife, you can invite her anytime, and I will be happy to, you know, for sure, by, you know, your you will be like, you know, with us speaking, and I will be happy to talk to her. If you like, I will do my best to help her.
But yeah, okay, thank you. But I have a question for you,
All right.
CP. But still, I have, you know, the devil comes to me. Sometimes I'm struggling. Okay, Muhammad comes to me and tempting me. You know, what can I do in that case?
You are talking about what kind of temptation?
For example, I have a question, right? Since the Jesus is the all-knowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Father is the all-knowing, and the Holy Spirit is all-knowing. What are they talking? What kind of relationship between them? What they're talking about? What I don't know. Maybe I'm confused.
No, no,
Sometimes
no.
maybe
I understand. No, I understand. You see, all-knowing, it doesn't mean like, you know, when we talk about God, that He is all-knowing. But our God, He gave a free will to all of us. This is for us as a human. Now you are asking about the Holy Spirit and the Son and the Father relationship to each other, right?
yes.
All right. So each time Jesus, He speaks something, He is speaking the will of the Father. So when we speak about all-knowing, we are talking about they have the same will. That's why Jesus says, let your will, not my will. What does that mean? That means the Son is always acknowledging the authority of the Father, for everything that the Son has is given to him from the Father. So here the all-knowing is about, I know what the Father wants from me, and He knew what He wants from me. So I will do what the Father wants, and I will do what I'm supposed to do. And always the Son, He obeyed the will of the Father, which means we don't have to will. So all knowing here is about knowing the will of the Father. So the Son always knowing the will of the Father, and He do it exactly. So there's no two like literally, there's no two difference between the Son and the Father, because simply the Son always doing the will of the Father. So if I am the Son and I know the will of my Father, and I'm always going to be perfectly consistent with my follow, like my, let us say, my obedience, then the relationship between them is about I do the will of the Father, and I know it what it is. In fact, in the Bible, there's many verses Jesus speak about doing the will of the Father, and the Father, he gave the Son the command over the flesh. So the Father gave me the command over the flesh of this word. So this is my job. So the Son, he is doing the will of the Father. That's why for God he loved the world. God who? God the Father. He sent his only begotten Son. He sent him what? In a mission. So the Son is coming in a mission to save the world, and this is the will of the Father. Still, this is the will of the Father, remember. But and the Son is doing the will of the Father, which is to save the world. So there's no different, because the will of the Father is the same will of the Son. I don't know if I explain myself to you.
Yeah.
Like it's like, you know, it's like, you know, I have a map, you know. I'm going to from point A to point B, right? And me and the one who gave you the map, we agree totally in this mission. So A and B and what is between, we have total agreement. So when the Son and the Father, they speak to each other, and this is a conversation actually, by the way, is to be taught to us, to explain to us the relation between the Son and the Father. It's not necessarily a speech happened to for the sake of the speech. To make it simple for you, when they asked Jesus how to pray, he says, you pray like this: our Father art of heaven. But then Jesus himself, he said, I and the Father are is one. So why we need to say our Father in heaven, when Jesus, he told us already that he and the Father is one? Because simply already we've been taught by Jesus that he is the Son of the Father. He is not the Father. And when you pray to the Father, so the Father will listen to you. And the Father who sent me to save you, he already told me what to do with you. So Jesus always follow the authority and obey the Father. And that's why actually the word Son, why we call someone the Father and why we call someone the Son. It's very normal to understand that always the Father is the one who have the authority. And the Son, like there's a king and there's a crown prince. Why the crown prince is called the crown prince? Because he is the son of the king, correct?
Yes.
If he, so the authority he has simply just because he is a son, not because somebody called him the crown prince. So if his father the king, then the son is the crown prince. So Jesus is the only begotten son of the Father. There's no other crown prince, and there's no other person to be the son except this person, the Messiah. So all the mission of the Messiah simply is to come to this earth, is a mission from the Father to the Son, and the knowledge between them already is exist. The conversation we hear about in the Bible is this is for us, so we can learn about them, so we can understand the relationship between the Son and the Father. Because nobody, you see, if I want to explain God to you, or even I try to explain God to myself, God is a miracle. Nobody can explain God. Like how God, he said that let be light, and light was. Nobody can explain, right? How somebody we killed him, we bury him, and then he came back to life. That is not something to explain. So if I try to explain things based in my ability of understanding, I will find myself very limited. This is why you see in the Bible we have a conversation, and those conversations to make you understand with your limitation the relationship between the Son and the Father.
Oh, I see.
It's like, you know,
now I got it.
if you go to school, you know, when you are in like in 7 years old, they give you little cartoon books, you know, pictures, right? Okay,
Comics.
but this is will not be the same when you are, you know, 12 years old. and then it will not be the same when you are in high school, and will not be the same when you are in university. So you yourself as a person, you have a stages, you go through stages to learn. So all those books we go through our age is just because of our limitation. Otherwise they are not necessarily. But because it is necessarily because of our limitation, then we have to go through them. So the conversation in the Bible, which is exists there because of our limitation. So God, He go with us step by step, so we might know and understand by the help of the Holy Spirit, who, when we have faith, we have to receive, we will receive a better understanding. A believer, when he read a story, is different from a disbeliever. So for me, a story, when I use a story, my English is limited, but the story of Jesus and the cross is a true story, even though I'm using the word story. But the story maybe of Jesus baking the wine, the water from wine, oh, sorry, the wine from water, for somebody else is a fairy tale. So I can call it a story. For me, I'm a believer. I believe it's a true story. For him, it's a fairy tale. Why? Because he did not go through the stages of understanding. He decided to jump to the end. The end of the story says water become wine, and that is impossible because he don't believe. So he jumped the stages, all the stages, and he decided to come to the conclusion. So for us as a Christians, every word from God count. That's why we agree with the Old Testament, not only with the New Testament, because we understand how God arrived to us in his stages. So if you go to the book of Genesis, it speak about how God created the world, but it's a very simple way, because simply you are just now learning about God. Otherwise, if I want to explain how God created this massive universe, we need billions of books. And even if you write billions, still you will not be able to explain to a person who want to study, like let's say he want to be a doctor for eye doctor. He will have to study a lot of books before he can graduate to be an eye doctor. This is just for the eye. If you study the movement of a fly, how those amazing wings, they can fly so fast, change direction, it's scary. No airplane until now can do that. It can land anywhere. It can land in the wall. They can land in the floor. They can hook up to the ceiling. So if you want to understand everything, that is impossible because we are limited. So the Bible speaks to us as a children. That's why we are literally children of God. For it doesn't matter how much smart we become, we are still very foolish because our education is extremely limited. Even now we have a spaceship and we can go to the space, and you notice that science every day, or so-called scientists, they discover something new, astonishing. The massive universe, and nobody can explain it, simply because God, nobody can explain. So the relationship between the Son and the Father and the Holy Spirit is very simple. I don't like to use material to explain God, but because we are simple-minded and we are limited, I will use material. The same as I mentioned like a few minutes ago when I speaking to this guy, I mentioned that we have the sun and we have the light and we have the heat, but all of them, they are the sun, but there are three. There's one we can see by our eyes, but we cannot touch physically. And there's one, it's called light. It come to us and we can see it. It even go through the water, it go through our window. But the second we receive the light, we feel heat. And this is the same for God. So there is visible part, and there's invisible, and there's something you feel. So the visible is God, the invisible still God. The difference between them is our limitation, not his limitation. So when I mentioned to you the sun, I'm trying to explain God to you because we are limited in our ability to understand. Not because the God is a sun or a star. We don't worship stars, but we are limited. So you know, if 100 years ago, 200 years ago, let's say, I say to you, a person in China can speak to someone in America, you will laugh at me. You will say, this is impossible. How that can be? Today, you know, we accept, and if somebody says it's impossible, people will laugh at him. But if you go back on time and you say that, people will laugh at you. You will be sound crazy. So God, He speak to you in a way so you can understand. In the same time, you don't sound crazy. Otherwise, people will laugh at you. So when Jesus was speaking to people around him, even though he is physically in front of them and he lived between them, still they could not comprehend, even though he was doing it to them in stages. Even his disciples, they said, we want to see his wound. What do you mean he came back to life? Even though he told them already, you can destroy this temple and I can build it in 3 days. So the Messiah, because we are limited, he gave us stages of learning about him. In fact, if you read the Bible carefully, you will see the Messiah did not go around says, I'm the Messiah. He did not do that right away. He was speaking to them without saying, I am the Messiah. So why he did that? Because there's time to mention it. There's time to announce it. It's not yet. And this is the same for you. There's time God, he revealed himself to you. And there's time for you to ask questions, because you know, like, you are trying to learn about God, and it's very normal. This is not Satan tempting you. I believe this is very normal. It's just you want to know more about God, and you know, our Lord, he encouraged you to read and to understand. He don't want you to believe in him, you know, without knowing what you are believing in. So you need to know, I believe in who.
So it's not about like Islam, like no questions asked, right?
No, actually, you know, Jesus said, read the books, find the truth, and the truth will set you free. So the truth will set you free. How you can find out the truth if you don't read, if you don't search, right?
Yeah, without reasoning.
Exactly. So Jesus, he asked you, like actually, this the sentence of Christ when he spoke about the truth will set you free. It's so beautiful. If you go to John 8, so this truth is not only going to make you know, is going to set you free from your confusion. Because we get confused the more we don't know. The more we don't know, the more we are ignorant. Like if you go in a dark room, you cannot see. You hit the table, you hit the chair, you hurt yourself because simply you don't see. But if you see, then the darkness is not there. And this is what Jesus was talking about. So you will know, you will search, you will find out, and the second you find out, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And that truth is the Messiah. All right? So everything you learn is going to be, as long as the truth is going to lead you to the Messiah, and the Messiah will set you free. Like if you go to the verses, it says, if you know, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So the word of God is the truth, and if we decide to be abide by it, then we become disciple of Jesus, even though we are far away from the time he came to this earth. But this goes for every one of us. Then we will know the truth, and we will be free from all confusion.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank you.
So I
Thank you
encourage
very much
you
for
to read more. You see, Christianity is not
Islam.
it's you know, Islam is about you know, food, sex, gold, silver. Like you will have a house, and the house have 4 gates, but there's nothing really spiritual, nothing deep. Allah is one, but then they do not know who is this Allah. In Christianity, right away, the Bible call you a child of God. And why and how you can be a child of God? You see that in the Aramaic language, the word Abba, it's like when you say, it's not even the word father. It's not, no, it's not even father. It's like father is kind of a concrete word in English. It's like, dad, like very simple one. Like, call him dad, it's a very friendly way. Like, like when somebody call father, it's kind of official, right? So in the Bible, God, he is allowing you to call him dad, Abba.
Dad. Oh, I see.
So in Christianity, you are so close to him, you are not even going to call him father, you are going to call him dad. So when the Son come to us, is to bring us closer to him, and we can feel the difference between all other pagan gods and the true God. This God, who is the true God and the only true God, is the one who will take you as a child, for he did not create you to suffer. He did not create you to be tortured. He did not create you to go even out of heaven. But because you decide to leave the love, the let's say, your father, he is a very loving person, and then you decide to rebel against him. You don't want to obey him. You don't want to listen to him. So you decide to leave his house. And then when you get out, you find that outside of the house is very cold. There's death, there's diseases, there is risk, there's danger, there's rape, there's blood, there's killing. That's all was your choice. So when you are with the Father, who is now your dad, you are warm, you are secure, you are a son, you are a child, you are in his kingdom, you are between his arms. So all what Christianity is asking you or teaching you, love your father and you will be home. He's not asking you for anything. You see, all the command of the Bible is not about obeying God. It's about loving God. So when God, he said, don't murder, it's not about obeying God. It's about loving God, because simply if you love me, you obey me. And I know the best for you. So why you want to murder? Do you like people to murder you? Use your brain. Why you want to rape? Do you like to be raped? Do you like to steal? Somebody steal your stuff? So all of it is about loving God, not just about obeying God, because if you love me, you obey me. And this is actually what is mentioned in John. So when we mention to you in John, Jesus says, if you abide by my words, you are truly my disciples. And then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And the truth is, you shall not murder. The truth is, you should not hate. The truth is, you should not be committing sin. The truth is, you have to be holy like your Father in order to be with the Father. In order to belong to me, I'm holy. You cannot be a person who belongs to me and you are filthy, dirty. So in Christianity, you walk the walk of harness. The more you get closer to him, the more you are away from sin. The more you are closer to sin, the more you are away from him. So you have to choose which one is your direction, to stay away or to be closer and closer. So you are far, and now you start thinking about loving Jesus and believing in Jesus. So now start thinking about him as a father. But the more you get close to him, then you will start at the end and you will call him my dad, because now you are between his arms. So the same as a Christ, he gave himself on the cross to save you. That is the absolute love of God. What Jesus got from this? What is the gain he got from this? What God he got from sending his son, except insult, cursing, humility? Nothing. There's no gain, except the only gain God have for you is he love you and you love him. So if you love him, that is your gain. The Bible says happiness will be in heaven, in the kingdom of the Father, if one person come back to the Father, come back to God. One person. So imagine how much you are important. And then you decide to be away from him. So God, he love you, but he will not force you to love him. And that's why we have, you know, in Christianity, we have something special. It's called relationship with God. You cannot be a child of God if you don't have a relation with your father. So a person, imagine yourself, you have a son, and the son 20 years never call you, never say hello. And then one day he heard uh, that he have a bad news, he will go bankruptcy. So what he do? Oh, who is the one who's going to help me? Who is the one who's nice to me? Who is the one who can provide me? Oh, the father. Let me call the father. But that will be too late because you never, you know, you never remember him until you need him. And many of us are like this. When we are healthy, when we are wealthy, when we are, you know, we think we are God. You know, that's it. Who need God? All those rich people who don't like follow God, simply they think they are God because he is powerful, he is wealthy, he is eating the best of food, maybe even have soldiers, maybe he's a king, everybody obey him, and then one day he find out that he's so weak. And then suddenly, the one who deny God, remember God. It can be too late, it can be never too late, depend who you are. So Jesus says, knock at my door, I will open for you. And when you knock at my door, simply you are knocking at the door of the Father, for I and the Father is one. So again, we go back to the relationship between the Son and the Father and the Holy Spirit. It is it's a perfect God, and the easiest way to understand how God let us say he present himself to us is to look at yourself. You know, you as a human being, you have a spirit, you have a flesh, and you have a thinking. You know, we cannot even call it the brain because thinking is not the brain. Ideas are not the brain. The brain is the one who processes the ideas. So you have ideas which nobody can see, not even you, but you are thinking about it. You have a spirit, but you cannot see. But without it, you are not exist. You have a flesh you can see. So you yourself is a three in one. What is the relationship between your idea and your spirit and your body? Simply is united, because one of them is gone, you are gone. A human being, if you don't understand, he is just a crazy person. He do not even know his existence. If you are not conscious, you feel nothing. You lost your conscious, you are nobody. So the relationship between the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit is exactly within you, is unity. Whatever the Father think, the Son understand, and the Son obey. Whatever the Father he feel, the Son he feel, and the Holy Spirit is the same. So when Jesus he say, I will not leave you alone, I will send you the Comforter, that is the Spirit of God. Why? Because simply God, he exists in his way as a spirit with us. When he is with us physically, that was Jesus. When he is not physically as a spirit, that is the Holy Spirit. And the Bible says in John, God is a spirit. If you go to John chapter 4, I think verse number 24, if I'm correct, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. God is a spirit. So God is a spirit, and the spirit is the powerful existence of God, because it is so, it's hard to explain actually how the Holy Spirit can be exist everywhere in the world. The only way to understand it, that this is a miracle, this is God. Otherwise, my spirit cannot be exist everywhere. My spirit is captured within my body. And even if I die, my spirit will be out of my body, still is going to be in one place. But God is spirit, because this is God. It can be and it is everywhere. So I gave you an example about yourself, how yourself, you have a flesh, you have your conscious, and you have your soul or spirit. Still, it's one person, and they are connected in a very mysterious, amazing way. And if God can do that to you, so you can imagine how God He is.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Yeah, this is so encouraging. Thank you for your explanation.
Yeah, nobody can. I did not explain God to you, by the way, because nobody can explain God because He's amazing. I mean, like if we look at a mountain, I mean, who can explain the beauty of a mountain? Nobody. It's just a mountain. It's a piece of rock, but still,
Yeah.
it's astonishing. If you look at the snow, when the snow is coming down, it's like magic, right?
Yeah.
And I can't explain to you snow. I can talk science. Science says, oh, this is water coming, became ice, blah, blah, blah. But there's something you see nobody can explain. It is beautiful to your eyes, make you feel so good. That is something nobody can explain. Because imagine if I'm a machine, I can AI, I can recognize that it's a snow, but the AI will not enjoy the beauty. So God, He gave
Yeah.
you in a mysterious way, you as a human being, simple human being. Actually, if you go check in your, the best camera you have, they will not give you details. You have a feeling when you see. Cameras don't
Yeah.
have feeling. In fact, even your eyes can feel heat. Even your eyes, which is not supposed to be, because supposedly your skin, right? There is an area, but even your eyes can feel heat. So, God, He created you in a way which is miraculous, and you will find that God exists by looking at yourself, by looking at the nature, by looking at a tree. I mean, look at the beautiful design. There's no way I can explain to anybody why I feel the beauty and why I see it so beautiful, and why sometimes I see something very ugly, and why I see it sometimes something disgusting. That because God, He created you with a lot of ability to recognize things. You are gifted. You are the gift of God. So when your mother, she gave birth to you, it was a gift from God. And this gift, there's two gifts here. One is to you, you are gifted, and one to your parents. Your mother, nobody can explain why she loves you so much. Why she is willing to spend her day and night for somebody. One day he will grow up and he will leave the house and maybe he will not say hello. But God, He
Yeah.
put inside her a lot of love to her son. So even when you look and you think about a woman, she loves her children, nobody can explain it. Like if you look at the cat, it's just a cat, carrying her babies from place to place, a chicken defending her babies, as if she is a lion. Nobody can explain it, except that this is God's gift. So this little creature, even though it's weak, at this moment, God, He gave this animal a bravery. So those babies can survive. So when a risk comes, this little chicken, she thinks she is a lion. She will do anything to defend her babies. The same for the cat. That is a gift of God. Nobody can explain it. No science, nothing.
Yeah. That's the difference from the Islam and Christianity. Islam claims to you come
In Islam,
only
it's just
as a slave.
a religious religion of rules, and those rules are contradicting each other, and they are confusing. And then the reward itself, is a proof that Islam is just a fake, stupid cult. With Jesus, You know, when Jesus speak about the mansion of my Father, this is not about real mansion, because heaven, mansion mean nothing. You know, mansion, what? I mean, any rich person have mansion. That is not what Jesus is promising. What Jesus is promising you is something nobody can explain. The same as when you enjoy the beauty of a mountain, or the beauty of the sea, or the beauty of anything around you. The same when you love somebody, or you love your son or your daughter or even your wife. When somebody is willing to give himself to die for the sake of saving somebody, that's nobody can explain. So there's things God gave us and nobody can explain. And they are exist and they are true. And number one, the most important is love. Like why you will love and why you are in love. No explanation. You know, some like this guy Sadhguru, he claimed that love is not true, is not exist, and it is just a reaction of people around you. That's stupid, because the mother, she don't have a reaction. Otherwise, if this is based on the reaction, should kill you because you cause her a lot of pain. The reaction should be the opposite. I mean, you simply like you split her body to come out. A lot of pain. Why she will love you after all the pain she go through, and even you might die. So why she want to love a person, this little creature coming out of her, and after all what you have done to her, you did not do anything good to her. So stupid people, they claim to be guru, they are stupid. And then when they accuse him that he killed his wife, he said, why I want to kill my wife? I love her. But he is the same guy who said love is not real. So this is how you know fake cults and fake religions and fake godly people. They are fake. They are taking advantage of the one who have little brain. And if you are naive, don't blame God for that. It was your fault. You choose to be naive.
Yeah,
All right.
that is true.
Well,
Very true.
I hope I answer your question. Anything else?
I have, you know, it might be silly question. I don't know. Should
No.
I ask you or
Sure,
no?
sure. Go ahead. Don't worry.
Actually, this is the question from my son, 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was, reading the book of John,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like about the death of Lazarus, and he was like about resurrecting him,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when Jesus came to the grave and he's asking, okay, show me where is you like buried him? Where is his like
So,
tomb?
say
And
again. Say again. Oh, okay. Show me. Okay.
yeah. At that time, my son is asking, okay, daddy, if he's all knowing, why he doesn't know the grave? Where is this? Why he's asking about the grave? Like, show me. And he went there. I don't know. What
Yeah.
was
But you see, you can
your
answer
response
easy
to that?
because you see, in order to understand the story, go to the beginning. If you go to John 11, you will see that Jesus says, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep." This is long before like nobody knows even he's dead yet. Right?
Yeah.
So before he went there, he knew, and at that time there's no internet and there's no, So how he knew that there is someone, his name is Lazarus, now he is dead, and Jesus in the word in the Bible he used the word sleep because he's telling them, I'm going to wake him up from his death. So here Jesus is not about he don't know. He is let me walk with you. You know, you can take the word literally. Like when God he said to Noah, "Where are you?" Sorry, to Adam. You know, do God know where Adam is? Adam in heaven, supposedly, right? So why he don't know? So this is not about God knowing or not. This is a conversation. Is about okay. Where's the grave? Let's go there. Is dead. So this is not about Jesus do not know. Jesus knew about Lazarus. He's dead. If you go to verse number 11, right away you will see it. John 11:11, right away. Then he said that our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. Okay, now let us go and wake him up. Right? So the Messiah, before anyone tell him anything, he knew about Lazarus. So is it possible? Is it possible he did not know the grave? No. This is a conversation. This is like when he went there. You know, like obviously Jesus speaking about Lazarus is dead. You know, had died already. He's not saying really he's asleep. All right. And otherwise, now your son can say, well, he is asleep. That means he did not resurrect him, correct? So you need to tell him that this is a symbolic statement of what is for God is not for us, which means for God you are asleep, for us you are dead. For bringing you back to life as easy as to Jesus as bringing someone from sleep back to life. So Jesus, he meant that he is dead, but he said he is asleep. Why? Because it's going to show you that for God, the dead is nothing but someone is asleep. And as easy as a sleep person can get awake and back again to life, I'm going to resurrect him. All right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I see. Now I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when Jesus arrived to that village, he was told that Lazarus already had died, you know, in his grave for 4 days. And you know, this is like a little town not far away from Jerusalem, you know, the city or the town we're talking about. So he's already dead. He's there for 4 days. So you should tell your son which one is possible or impossible. Somebody is dead for 4 days, or no one wears the grave. You know, like someone is dead for 4 days and will resurrect him, or no one wears the grave. So obviously, the conversation, Jesus, he is being very simple with them. He used the word sleep, presenting death. The man already, he's already buried, and he is in the grave. And for Jesus, taking him back to life is as easy as raising somebody. You know, actually, if you go to the story, we see that Martha said that he will raise. She's a believer, you know. He will rise when everyone else rise at the last day. All right. Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and I am the life. Anyone who believe in me, he will live even after dying." So Jesus here actually he practiced something to prove something else. So the point is, in the day of resurrection, he will survive. He will rise. Jesus told her that not necessarily, because I can do that. I can do what I promise you in the day of resurrection. I can do it now. For whoever believe in me and die, he will live. And then the Messiah, he resurrected uh, 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 Lazarus immediately.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point.
Always, if you want to explain something, it sounds like, you know, and your son, you know, he must be smart. So encourage him to ask. Don't like, you know, say to him, this is stupid. No, tell him this is good. I like what you said. You know, encourage him so he can read carefully and he can be even understanding better. You know, you don't want to have an ignorant son. You want to have a smart son who read carefully, he check the words, what they mean, why it says that, and mention to him that the Bible is always speaking about something more symbolic than it is literally. Like when Jesus says, the one who drink my water, but there's no water, right? The one who drink my water, he will never be thirsty, go thirsty. But Jesus was not, he was not, you know, holding a faucet and giving water to people. That's not a true. That's not what happened. So you need to tell him that there's a part, and a massive part in the Bible is a spiritual. It's not about the physical things. Like the death of Lazarus, described by Jesus as asleep, to prove the point where he said, whoever believe in me and die, he will live. It's connected. It's not just somebody died. All right. So whoever believe in me. So now, if you are listening, you say, okay, this guy maybe he's crazy. Whoever believe in me, what is the proof of that? You know, oh, one day in the day of judgment you will see, and then day of judgment maybe it happen, maybe not. Maybe he's a liar. But Jesus, he proved to them immediately. He did not say, okay, wait one day. You know what? Lazarus, he believe in me, and I'm going to resurrect him today, not in the day of resurrection. So the whole point was, believing in Jesus is resurrection, not just believing in resurrection. You know what I mean? The second you believe in Jesus, you are resurrected. Not necessarily, you know, like immediately, but it can be immediately, because this is the choice of God. The same he is resurrect, like when we know that when Jesus was himself resurrected, the Bible speak about saints, good men, they were resurrected too, but the Bible does not count their names. We do not know how many. So it can be resurrection in the day of judgment, it can be resurrection today. It's God's choice. But what the Bible teaches us, that what is impossible for you is always possible for Christ, for God. So for them, he died, that's it, forget about it. He will rise, even though they are believers, he will rise in the day of resurrection. But Jesus, to confirm who is he, like imagine if Jesus himself, he keep talking about resurrection, and then he did not himself was not resurrected. You know what I mean? So how this person, he keep talking about whoever believe in me and die will live, yet he died, he never lived. So the resurrection of Christ is extremely important. It's like the stamp of the authority of the truth. So I am keep telling you about believing in me, that I am the life, I am the resurrection, I am the way. And then you could not be the life, you could not be the resurrection, therefore you are not the truth. So when Jesus resurrect people, he proved that he is the life. He gave them life back. He proved that he is the resurrection, not only when he resurrect the dead one, even himself, like even me. If I go through death, I will go back to you. So the event when they happen is just a chain of confirmation of the authority of Christ and who is he. Otherwise, there's many people, they can make good speeches, and there's many people, they are very eloquent and they sound very wise, but the Messiah is different, because he do what he say and he say what he do. Right? And I encourage you actually to read John 11, the whole chapter, the one you are talking about. You will see it's so beautiful. All right?
It is so beautiful. Since we talking about the resurrection and crucifixion, in the book of John says the no bones were broken, right?
Say again.
No bones were broken. So I have a question. If I just thinking by myself, if you are piercing someone, the legs and hands, and how come the no minor like bones, maybe they would be broken, right?
I'm not understanding your question.
If you crucifying someone and piercing and
No, you see,
nailing,
usually you have to understand the first of all, if I am person you, usually those who they are crucified, at the end they break their bones. In the case of the Messiah,
at the end
did not happen. All right. So
it's not about mini bones. It's
no,
like
they
big
break
bones,
their
right?
bones. Literally, they break their bones. after the crucifixion. This is not about fingers. This is not about, you know, they break their legs.
This is the
Yeah.
big bones, right?
Yeah, they like it's a tradition of the Roman to break the bones of the one who they crucify.
To be sure that person is dead, right?
I'm not sure really what is the purpose, you know, but this is what they do. It might be, but usually they will not take you down from the cross unless they are very sure that you are dead.
Oh, I
It
see.
it might be
That's the
it might be to bring more humility to you, you know, like more to, let's say to make an example of those who they are because the whole point of the cross is to make example of you. All right. Yeah, the cross is not just for, you know, otherwise you can kill the guy without cross. Why the cross? But the cross is to make an example of you, and you know, and if you go to the book of Exodus as an example, chapter 12, you will see that when they have the Passover lamb, it forbid breaking any bones of its bones. So it's a Passover, so you cannot break the bones. So this is a miracle, actually. It's a let us say their connection in the prophecy about Jesus, what will happen.
yes,
So
that's exactly.
if you go back to the book of Psalms, I think 34, I'm not sure which verse. Maybe somebody can remind me. It mentioned that all that he protect his all his bones, but I'm not sure of the rest of the sentence. Let me search. Go ahead. Give me a second.
Okay, no problem.
Sadly, I have a great memory about Islam more than the Bible, so I apologize. Let's see. Yeah, if you go to Psalm 34:20, he keep all his bones, not one of them is broken. All right. Yeah. Is that correct?
So when
Yeah.
when Jesus was crucified, no any
Yeah, they did not
bones
break
was
his bones
cracked.
because simply this is what they do.
Oh,
This is what they do. They break the bone of the one who is crucified.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
And you know, it's good to read and research and try to study. I always encourage you. In fact, the more you know, the more you are going to be a strong believer. Because ignorance does not make you a better believer. Knowing will make you a better believer, because then if you are ignorant, anyone can ask you a question, and this question will be confusing for you and can make you like let us say being tempted, as you call it when you join me here, to be questioning your faith. You know what I mean? But if you are strong, if you have knowledge, then you will not like, as an example, when somebody says to you, why in the Bible says women they have to be modest, and women they have to they keep quiet, but then the same book it says women they are prophets and they are teachers. That doesn't make sense. So when that letter was mentioned is to refute the pagan who they worship goddess, and those goddess they are, you know, they have to put a lot of jewelries on them, a lot of clothing which is fancy in the same time. So the word modesty here is not about long skirt or short skirt. It's about you not to spend money on yourself, but to spend on others. So those pagan, like if you read it, you think it's about women. A woman, she is in your church or in your home or etc. This is about refuting the pagan who they worship pagan gods, and those pagan gods, goddess, they spend too much money on them, and you know, they don't find them beautiful unless they spend like gold and silver on them. So what the Bible says, women, Christian women, they have to be modest, and they should be quiet. and they should not be the teachers. Talking about what? Talking about those people in that area, they are not educated, so a woman should not speak, claiming teaching when she is not herself educated. It's not about women keeping shut and she don't open her mouth, because we have many examples in the Bible, even from Paul himself, who they are women and they were teachers. So always you have to take the story in the context of the story, not in what we see today. Today we see just a plain text, but we need to understand this letter sent to who and why, and then we understand better. It's like, you know, I say to you, if I send you a letter and say, I advise you, my brother, not to buy a refrigerator because your food will never be spoiled. Okay, well, this is stupid. What do you mean?
You would be Mohammed.
No, hold on. Your food will never be spoiled. What do you mean? But if you know that I'm sending this to somebody live in the North Pole, then you will know that it makes sense that the refrigerator is not needed. Why you want to buy a refrigerator? You live in the North Pole, right?
Yeah.
So if I understand the location, if I understand I'm talking to who, if I understand the background of the story, then my confusion will not be there. All right?
I see.
Yeah. If I say to you, my brother, I advise you to buy an air condition. Well, okay. Why am I advising somebody living in Alaska to buy air condition, you know, or in the North Pole? So if I know the location, then the misunderstanding can solve the problem. The same as in the Bible, everything, it have a background. Everything, they are living people, living between people, and there is an event happening. It's not just an idea, an advice in general. It's for people who they have, so they go as a missionaries, and when they go to a location, they face some issues. So you need to know this advice about what issue. It's not just an advice. Otherwise, you might be confused, and you might say, "Oh, that." I mean, how in the Bible we have a book. It's called the Book of Judges, and there's women. They are judges. How a woman can be a judge, but she cannot be a teacher. You know, that doesn't make sense. How even God Himself is born of Mary. You know, so the Bible don't put the women down, but God refute opposition of women through time and through events. So always women considered not to be like the Jewish society, same as the pagan society, women always in the back seat. But in Christianity, women, she have a different place. Women, she is the mother of Jesus. Women are the first one Jesus met after he came from the tomb. They are the first witnesses to Jesus. It's not men. It was two women are the first one to witness. And then you will see here in this story that how much those women, they love Jesus to the point they are the first one to go. It wasn't Peter. You know, it is those women who decide to go to the tomb of Jesus, which means, you know, I can think about it this way. How much love I have to the point I could not even wait to go and see. Why they went even before Peter and the disciples. Where are the disciples? So here you see the Bible mention women in many places in a very wonderful way. They have a very special place in the church. In fact, Jesus, he called the women a church. So when he speak about the same as Christ, he gave himself to the church, the man he gave himself to his wife. So he made the women equal to the church. So somebody is ignorant, he can read what is written about women. She should not talk and teach because he's ignorant. He say, oh, this woman in Christianity, she is just a stupid creature. She cannot teach and she is nobody. But the story actually is the opposite. It's about making the women valuable. And the women in Christianity, she shall not think about herself. So when you dress modest, It's not about spending. It's against you spending money on yourself, too much jewelries and clothes and fancy stuff. You should think about others. You spend it on others. So the Bible teach man and women to be children of God and not to be demonic, selfish people who they are worshiping themselves as goddess and God.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, nobody would believe in that time if there were like Islam. Nobody put women like a witness, right?
Always, always, through history, women are not to consider anything. You know, uh, there's some kingdoms they have a female. She become a queen, but that not because they respect the women, but mostly because okay, the king he have no children except they were female. So and the bloodline have to continue. So they favor the rules, not the gender. You know what I mean? The tradition.
Just the politics.
Yeah, the tradition is have to continue.
Yeah.
It's not about the gender. So they did not favor her because she is a female to be a queen, but they favor the rules, which is she is the only daughter for the king, and then she would have a son, and the kingship of this family would continue.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but with the Christ, the women is not what it is in any other belief. Like if you go to Buddhism or Hinduism, women is just a sex toy. Even the Jews before Christianity, they used to get married, divorced. Like when the woman she get a little bit old, they change her. You know, like the Muslims. You know, he married her for a few years. Oh, she's getting old now. So there's more beautiful women. I have money, so he divorced her. That's why Jesus he made it clear that they do divorce. You don't. So why Jesus he stood against divorce? Because simply it was a tool against women, not for their benefit. So women they will be married when they are young, and they will be thrown in the street when they are older. So the man now he became, he is using women, abusing them, taking their, let us say, it's like when you are full of energy and she is beautiful and she is healthy and she can clean, she can cook, she can give babies. I use her, all right. But then time will come and she will become older, and then I have money, I'm rich. Why I want to keep her? With the Christ, he stopped their practice.
Yeah.
So we can say Christ he bring protection to the man and the women, because when the Messiah he forbid the man from multiplying wives, he's protecting the man from his own temptation. I will be tempted. So when he said to me, if you want to follow me, you don't do that. So he protected me from my own temptation to be just a materialistic person who just enjoy life in the wrong way. And by doing that, in the process I hurt my own self, because you marry a woman, you have kids from her, and then after that you throw her in the street, and then you get other women, and then you have kids from her, and that will do what? That will make a very broken family. Children hate each other because they are not from the same mother. They will be fighting about who want to inherit the father, and their mother will teach them to hate their father because look what he have done to me. So it's not a healthy family. With the Christ, family is healthy, especially if you are a Christian who follow truly the teaching of Christ. You will not throw your wife in the street because she is older, but you can divorce her if she is a fornicator. Same for your husband. You can throw him out if he is a fornicator. So in Christ, there's insurance. Insurance for man, insurance for women, insurance for children, to have a successful family. So marriage have to be in love, and love have to be unity, and unity is called echad, and God himself is echad. So, O Israel, your
One.
God is Echad. What does that mean? Your God is one. So when the
One.
Bible speak about marriage, you will see it used the word Echad. There's nothing, just it's not a marriage. It's a merge, which means both of you became together. Like when two company became one. Even though they are two, they have two assets, they have two buildings, they have two administration, they have two different employees. Yet when they merge together, they become one. So in the Bible, it's teaching always about unity, and that goes for everything. Resurrection with Jesus is unity. Dying for Jesus is unity, because some of us might die for our faith. Is unity with God. Dying for us, this is what Jesus did. He was uniting himself with us by his death. You go to death, I go to death too. I will be so humble to join you. I will go to the grave, not only you, to show you how much I love you. And I will show you that my promise to you that you will be resurrected is true. It's not a fiction. You will not wait a million years to see the day of resurrection. You will see it today. The same as you saw it with Lazarus in John 11, you will see it with me today. So Jesus' promise is a real promise. And he, whatever he said, he do. And whatever he asked you to do, he done already. He's asked you to be holy, he is. He asked you to stay away from sin, he did. He asked you not to worship money, he never asked for it. He asked you not to be selfish, he's the last one to be called selfish. He asked you to love everybody around you. Well, in the cross he says, Father, forgive them, they didn't know what they are doing. That is an unbelievable love. He did not give me a speech about love, he did love. To the point, imagine if somebody is just putting a nail in your, you will be cursing him. You will be calling him even without even feeling like thinking about it. You will be cursing him names. You will be doing anything. But Jesus, he was in the cross. Instead of thinking about his pain, he is thinking about, Father, forgive them. They do not know what kind of a person this person is.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
So everything about Christ is a miracle. His forgiveness, his love, his miracles, his life, his birth, his death, his resurrection. I mean, there's no person is ever exist is a miracle as a Christ. Even in the Quran, he's a miracle. His existence came by miracle. He's born with no father. Right away, a miracle. He's not even created from dust, as the stupid Quran, because he's born of a woman, not from dust. The first man, the first women, they are from dust.
Yeah.
So when we speak about the Messiah, you have to be in love with such a person who have nothing for you except love. And we make a choice. Either we love him, so we obey him and we practice what he said, or we hate him and we follow a very sexual cult like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. In fact, all of them, they share the same thing. You see, in Hinduism, Buddhism, they have statues for penis. In Islam, they have the black stone, which is a vagina. If you go inside the Hindu temple, you will see the vagina and the penis. And it's a black stone too. And then you will see that sexuality is looked at in those cults. We can't even call them cults, as like the women's duty is to entertain the man. That's why in Japan they have a festival for penis. You go to Thailand, they have penises everywhere. Prostitution is not a shame in Thailand. It's not even a Kama Sutra in India. It's not a shame. Why? Because simply this is a very satanic sexual belief. Use the women
Ideology.
and make the women a sex toy for the joy of the man. And not only the man, you will see even the man is a stages, like there's a man who is a Brahma, so he can
Why
abuse
this is
all
disgusting?
others. And there's a casting system.
Wow.
You see, with Jesus, he cast the devil. With those religions, you are casted out just because you are not from their family. You are not from some blood. There's high community, there's a low community. With the Christ, the poor is rich and the rich is poor. With the Christ, the hateful is going to go to hell. The loving, doesn't matter who is he, is going to be with him. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, a thief, he was a thief. He was simply a criminal. He believed in the Messiah. The Messiah says to him, today you will be with me in heaven. So he gave him a promise, even though he is not the high attitude person. He is not from a noble brand. He is not a prince. He is not a rich man, you know. So the Messiah is not a story, is a living God. So he lived what he said, and he said what he lived. And today he's alive with us. And actually, I challenge all the Muslims, and you used to be an ex-Muslim, to tell us why the Messiah is still alive. They cannot answer that. Because simply, to be alive and everyone else dead alone is a privilege. And then to understand such a privilege, we ask anyone, who is the one who will be alive for thousands and thousands and thousands of years? They will say, God. Well, that is the Messiah. Your Muhammad is dead. Your Buddha is dead. Everybody you know is dead. Even the fictional one is dead. But the Messiah is alive, and he is coming back. So the funny that the Muslim, they believe that the Messiah is coming back, and still they follow Muhammad. How stupid you are to be following the dead. I remember, you know, a big sheikh, he spoke to my dad, and you know, when somebody come to our house, we treat him in a very respectful way. And he's a very nice guy, you know, this guy. So he said to my father, you are, you know, a wonderful man from a wonderful family. We would love to have you convert into Islam. Why you don't convert to Islam? So my dad, in a very polite, smart way, he said to him, well, no problem. What is your prophet now, Prophet Muhammad? The sheikh, he said, oh, he's dead. He said, where is the Messiah? He said, he's alive. He said, well, why I want to follow the dead and not follow the living one?
That's a good point.
So why anyone in the world, he have little intelligence, will follow someone is dead and ignore the one who is alive? That is the living Lord. So he is alive, and he is the life, and he is the resurrection. So him being alive is additional proof that the Messiah is my savior. For the one like Muhammad who cannot save himself, you see, when they put Jesus on the cross, they would start making fun of him, saying, oh, save yourself, huh? The king of the Jews. He did save himself, and he will save us. How Muhammad, the one who died by poison, and his God, he promised him protection, he was killed by rat poison. Yet the Messiah, he was crucified, and he was tortured, and they put a spear in his body to confirm his death, and water and blood came out, which is scientifically true. You can check it out, that water and blood will come out from a dead person, yet he is alive. So we are, I don't want to use the word lucky, I want to use maybe, there's no word to describe actually how we feel about being Christians, because simply there's no word to explain it. It's all about salvation. It's about love. It's about being proud of the Messiah. I cannot be proud of myself, but I have someone I can be proud about. Someone never commits sin. I cannot be proud of my sin, but I follow someone never ever did wrong. So I can be proud about him. So the Messiah will make you proud, will make you elegant, will make you shine, will make you a child of God, will make you holy. How you can be holy? When you become a child of God and He take you to heaven, you will never commit sin. For this will be a sinless location for sinless people. You will be the same as an angel. When they asked Jesus, oh, this woman, she have many husbands, who is going to have her in heaven? He says, he and she will not get married. They will be the same as angels. So those who follow the Messiah will live like angels. Those who follow Muhammad, they will become pervert. And that is the point.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right.
That's a good point.
All right.
That's a very good point.
Well, thank you for joining us, and I hope to hear more about your son and his good questions.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Take care. God
Thank
bless you.
you,
God
my
bless you.
brother. Yeah.
Okay.
God bless you. Thank you.
Well, I hope I did not give you a headache, guys. Did I? I hope not. You know, it's good to have questions, and the more questions you have, the more you read, the more you search, and the more you find yourself knowing more, and then you will become a better believer. Just try not to do the research based on plain text. Like the same we mentioned the story of the women who should not teach. You should know the story sent happened to who, the letter sent from who to who, and why. Don't just read text, plain text. It's like, you know, when you make a movie, in the background of the movie they put decoration, and decoration exists for a reason. It's very important actually to have the back scene. Like if I want to make a movie about the cowboy, I'm not going to put a cowboy and then there's cars and there's a spaceship and there's Elon Musk. That doesn't work. So I will make a background in the movie. There's cactus, there is desert, there is dust, there's wind. The background is maybe half of the movie, if not even more. So what we do when we read the Bible, we try to see the story by reading text, but we ignore the back of the scenery, which is extremely important to understand the story. Like if I say, brother, I feel so cold, you might start thinking he's cold because it's cold. Maybe it's December. Maybe he feel like he is. I mean, what cold mean exactly? It can be 1,000 meaning. It can be he feel cold in faith. He can feel cold into his wife. He can be. It can be anything. It can be because he's sick. Not necessarily it's cold. But if we show you in the back scenery a freezing, a snow and ice, now I understand why he's saying that. If I show you in the scenery that there's the guy lying in the bed and he have a fever, so he think now he's feeling cold. It is realistic. We understand better. If we find if we show you in this movie that you know his relationship with his wife is not good, so he says I feel good, and then feel cold, so I understand now he's talking about his feeling to his wife. But it's the same word. By changing the background of the word, we change the story. So what people do, they try to understand the scenery by reading the word only, and they ignore something very important, which is the background. I hope you understand my point, even though my English is not that good. And I pray that my weak, let us say, skills in English still will not make you unable to understand me. All right, we have one more. Would like to join the stage. Let us see. Both of you want to join the stage? Go ahead. Poeta.
Hey, CP.
How are you,
Huh?
my friend?
Lovely. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm not a Muslim, as you can see. My family have been having struggles. I spoke to you last time. And through you, I spoke to a lot of them. And thank God they're now listening to me. Yes, they're still Muslim. I'm not talking my immediate family, my distant family. But they can understand and appreciate why I believe in Jesus our Lord and our Savior, our Redeemer, our Messiah. So through your wisdom, I know you say you through God and through Jesus, and for you helping me, I truly appreciate what you've done for me. I always listen to you. Sometimes things can get hot. I understand, but you do what you do, and I appreciate that. And now I share the same thing to a lot of my friends, my Muslim friends, and the words I use is always the ones that I use from you. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me on the stage. And I truly say, I honestly want to say you've done a lot to a lot of people and you've done a lot for me. And that's all I want to say. Thank you very much, CP.
Thank you. You are an ex-Muslim?
No, I've never been.
Oh, okay.
I was born in a Muslim.
All right, all right. I understand.
Excuse me. I was born in a Muslim family. I was born in, but I was never a Muslim. I
All
grew
right,
up. I did everything some way,
all
but
right.
I was a little boy. I didn't know much.
Okay.
But thank you.
But
I just wanted to say that.
that make you an ex-Muslim, by the way. Because if you are born
Yeah.
of a Muslim family, according to Muhammad, everyone is born as a Muslim anyway. Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes.
yeah.
I grew up in a house where
Yeah.
I would go to church, they would go to their mosque and a masjid. It was fine. We had a good family life. There was no animosity, no fighting. I didn't know much. I was 6, 7 years old. I didn't understand. I thought Allah is God, God is Allah, same thing. I didn't know much about Muhammad.
Mhm.
And I thought everything was okay. I can only thank God that I grew up in a wonderful family. I mean that honestly, no matter what they believe. I never had that animosity, ill feelings. We were all just a happy family. Sometimes when I speak to people, I'm from South Africa, and they don't understand that. They can't understand how I could be in a Muslim and a Christian family. And I thank God for allowing me to be born that way, if I may put it that way, because He opened my eyes, because I could see. I still love them. They still visit me. Yes, we don't speak the same language when it comes to God and Allah and all those things, but my love for them is still there. I will not deny it because I always tell them I love them through the love of Jesus Christ. And though they don't understand, they don't accept him as only as a prophet, we don't fight, we don't have anything, and I still pray for them. But thank you for everything you've done. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, but I did nothing. I do my little duty if I could, and we pray the Lord. He is the one. He provide us wisdom. There's no man. He have his own, and the best wisdom of a human being is to fear God. And when you fear God, you love Him more because you fear to lose His love, and because His love is amazing. Then this is why the Bible is speaking about fearing God, not just thinking about loving God. Because if you don't fear to lose God, that means you do not know how priceless what you will lose. It's like, I fear to lose electricity. Why? Because, oh, I will be in dark. So if I do not know what light, I will not know what difference does it make. So this is how and why we as a Christians, we should know and we should fear losing the love of God, not just believing that God, He loves us. You have to fear, for if you don't fear, you do not know God yet. And this fear is not about terror, it's about love. Like I fear to lose my love. That will make me not a human being no more. I fear to lose my humanity because that will make me an animal. So knowing who I am and knowing who we belong, it's very important to keep ourselves safe and being saved. So we will be safe between His arms, and we will be safe and saved by His salvation. So let us, we as a Christians, always be strong believers and always put in our mind that how I can not lose the love of God to me, because I can do it. I can make God don't love me no more. Why? Because I decide not to love him. So we have to obey him, we have to follow him, we have to stay away from sin, and we have to fight our temptation. And me myself, I try my best to do that. But remember, there's only one perfect person in this earth, and he was in this earth, and he is in heaven. That is the Messiah, that is our Lord. We as a human being always going to be tried, tempted. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we stand up, but the important is to acknowledge your sin and to fight it, not to make it a lifestyle. So if you ever have a flu, okay, I have a flu, but if you live the flu, then you become a flu. So you should not live your disease. You should resist your disease. The same as God give you an immune system to fight, to stand up again strong and healthy. This is how God He gave you. He created you with immune system. So either you decide to kill it, or you decide to strengthen it, so you can be always loved by Him, and you will never lose His love. So this is my message for all for today, and I'm happy to have you today with us, my friend.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. All right, look like today we don't have any Abdul for some reason. For sure, the Muslims are not fearing debating me because they can win so easy. They have Allah, the God of the black stone, on their side, and he looked like a vagina. And if you have a vagina on your side, I mean, you have a lot of space, you know, especially if the vagina can fit with that endless penis Muhammad he promised. Obviously, the Muslim, they will not dare to debate about sex because they knew there's nothing in Islam except sex. And the funny is, the Muslim, they say, hey, Christian Prince, are you pervert? Why you keep talking about sex? What is in your religion besides sex? Why you believe in Allah? For sex. What Allah will give you if you believe in Him? Sex. Do you even have anything besides sex? Anything? Huh? Like if we continue the video we were playing from yesterday about the muta, I advise you to watch the previous video we have it 2 days ago and see how this Abdul was defending how his prophet allow prostitution, renting women for sex, how he failed miserably to explain. In the same time, you see Jesus, he is doing the opposite. You have to abstain from sin. Muhammad, he encouraged you to rent women. And the excuse is what? The men are horny. Well, men are always horny. Men are men. In the time of Jesus, in the time of Muhammad, today, nothing changed. And if Muhammad following the God of Abraham, as Muslim they claim, which is false, then how come he don't follow the God of Abraham, who taught you clearly, long time ago, from the time of Moses, that you should not desire a woman, she is not yours. You shall not murder. You shall not steal. Name one thing Muhammad did is not broken the 10 commandments. Everything he did. He kissed black stones. He believes stones can erase your sin. He believes God is not a spirit when the Bible says clearly God is a spirit. Yet the stupid people, they say that Muhammad is Abrahamic. Even Allah in their religion saying, according to their religion, he is not a spirit, and then you say to me he's Abrahamic. So we have different God, different nature, different existence, different ethic, different books, different names. You will never find the word Allah in our book. Somebody will say to you, do you know that the Christian, Arab Christian, in their translation, they have the word Allah? That's a false translation. So what? It's just a false translation. Allah never exists in our book. Never. And Allah is not even the name. It is Lah. So if somebody says to you, we have the same God, we are believing in Abraham, tell them right away the God of Abraham is a spirit. Is your God is a spirit? If he say yes, tell him show me the reference. He will show you the Quran says, my spirit. That is not Allah, you idiot. According to Islam, this is the angel Jibreel. You can find many Islamic websites saying to you, is Allah is not a spirit and he has no spirit. He said to you, we believe in the same God. Says, do you believe in Jesus to be your God? He would say no. Then shut up, because the Bible says, whoever denied the Son and the Father is an Antichrist. So your Muhammad, he denied the Father and he denied the Son. He is an Antichrist. Do you believe that God is holy? They will say yes. If your God is holy, then how he allow you to rent women? How women she get paid for sex legally, officially in Islam? And the list goes on. And then Muhammad sent by God, and this Muhammad, he have a privilege. If his eyes fall into your wife, you have to divorce her so the Prophet can F her. That is the enemy of Jesus. There's no question. All fake, filthy cult leaders, they want two things, if not a three: power and sex. And power mean money, and mean army, and mean kingdoms, and sex. And this is what Muhammad. If we speak about Jesus, he never seek any of those. He never seek money. He never even had sex. He was holy. He lived holy. He died holy, resurrected holy, and he is now with the Holy Father in the holy heaven. And he is the holy word of God. We cannot even compare. For comparing between Jesus and the filthy Muhammad is an insult to Christ. It is nothing but an insult. So I say to you, we have a Muslim in the chat. His name is Ibrahim. Ibrahim, why you don't join us, my friend, in Discord and show them how I am a liar? What do you think, guys? Do you see this guy, Ibrahim? Why Ibrahim don't call us? It would take you 5 minutes to prove to them that I'm liar. What do you think? I was going to leave, actually, Ibrahim, but because of you, I like to be exposed. Do you like to join us, Ibrahim? What do you think? And don't worry, Allah will be in your side. You will never lose. Are you worried? Oh, Ibrahim, he stopped texting, man. He's playing dead. Ibrahim, he stopped. I mean, if you ask a Muslim, why you call yourself Ibrahim, he do not know. Even the stupid Quran, one he called Ibrahim Abraham, one he called it Ibrahim. Why? And then the new print of the Quran, they took the word Abraham, they have only Ibrahim. You will join today? Okay, I'm waiting. Guys, Ibrahim is coming to Discord. He will join today. Please bring your popcorn. Ibrahim is coming to town. Come on, I will give you 2 minutes to join us Discord. Otherwise, you are just a troll. I'm waiting. And Ibrahim, don't forget to record it, because this will be historic for your childrens. One day they will grow up, they will see what their dad he'd have done. They will be amazed. Come on, we are waiting for you. Stop chatting there, come to Discord. We are waiting. And Allah will give you the all the wisdom to win, because the victory was going to be the victory for Allah, not for you. Right? And then after you win the debate, you go to heaven, and Allah will give you endless penis. I mean, I don't know how you feel now with your penis is not being endless. It's a shame. Only Allah can give you endless penis. Only true God, brother. I mean, you Muslims, you must be having very little tiny one, to the point your God, they promise you endless penis, because you see the promise is about something you don't have, right? Something you are struggling with. So if you Muslims don't struggle with a small penis, why Allah He promised you exaggerating with His lies English? How you can walk with the English penis? Come, bring your English penis with you. Come on. I cannot say bring your balls because according to Islam, a human being don't have balls. I can show the reference. I use bad language? Like what? Bite the penis of your father? This is your Quran. This is your prophet. I can show the reference. Your prophet says, the one who he's proud about his inheritance from his previous generation, tell him to go and bite the penis of your father. What about saying, suck the clitoris? You want me to show you? Who is the religious man who said, suck the clitoris of Allah? Can you give me the name, Ibrahim? As long as you are talking about bad language. Did your prophet use suck the clitoris, kiss the vagina, bite the penis of your father? Ibrahim, did you bite the penis of your father? Just get lost. You are a coward, you will never come here. You have a text diarrhea, but you don't dare to come and tell me, I will make you read your prophet saying, bite the penis of your father. And then you tell me how you follow a person who speaks such a language. And did your prophet Muhammad bite his father's penis? By the way, why I don't show your face? Why you want to see my face? You should be busy with the penis of your prophet. Guys, why you don't show your face? Greet and breath. First of all, show me your face. Show me your face. Okay, Zakir, Naik, what's stupid? You know, answer me. What does this have to do with my show? The Muslim, they never saw the face of Muhammad. They never saw the ass of Allah. Allah never spoke to Muhammad. They don't complain. In my case, show me your face. They are homo. If I show my face, your wife, she will leave you. Do you know what happened with Zainab and Muhammad? Muhammad, he went to the house of his son, and then Allah, he sent wind. Maybe Muhammad was breaking wind, you never know. His fart is powerful. And then, subhanallah, brother, subhanallah, the wind left the curtain, okay? And Zainab kanat mutafaddila. What does that mean? Almost wearing nothing. And the Prophet, he saw what I cannot describe. Nipples, butt, vagina. And then he said to her, oh, praise be to Allah who made me have lust for you. Do you want to show the reference, Ibrahim? A prophet of God going to visit his son, he F his son wife, and he claimed that Allah is the one who left the curtain. And then, guys, the story continue. That Zainab, when he came at night, he wanted to have sex with his wife. Guess what? A miracle happened. Anyone remember the miracle? Anyone remember the miracle? According to Zainab, each time her husband wanna F her, excuse my language, Allah, he make his penis swell. That's amazing. And those Christian kuffar, they say to you, the Prophet have zero miracles. I mean, what do you want more than the penis of Zayd, the son of Muhammad, cannot work no more? He get close to his wife, he's horny, and suddenly his penis extend and expanded and swollen. Oof, oof. His wife, she, oh, it hurt. Oh, my husband, because you want to have sex with me, you cannot. Because your father, he want to, you know, he did already. You cannot. Haram. Allah, he forbid my vagina for you now. So imagine, it's a real miracle. I wish at that time they have a camera, you know, like, you know, the guys, he take off his clothes, his wife, she opened her legs, and now his penis is like, became like a balloon. Oh, mashallah, my husband, what do you have there? It became like a balloon. Oh, don't touch it, it hurt. Okay, you have to stay away from me. Otherwise, Allah will make your penis hurt. It's a miracle. Even your prophet miracle is about penis. What about the miracle your prophet, he mentioned that he was the most weak person between all mankind until he invoked Allah and he sent him a dish of shish kebab. He ate it and he got the power of 40 men. And he keep talking about Sheikh Othman. You potato Sheikh Othman. Give me his number. I will call him right now. Go ahead. Who's the one running away? Sheikh Othman, the one who do not know how to read his book. All right. Obviously, this guy is a joke. I hope you have a good time, and we pray that the Muslim, they will understand that Islam is just a stupid cult, and there is no intelligence in it. You see, God is all about intelligence, not only about love, because God is intelligent. And the God of Islam is so stupid. I mean, the God of Islam think that women, they have sperm coming from their ribs. And women and men, there is sperm coming from their backbone. And in the top of that, the man, his semen will become a baby. Not There's no egg. The Quran believe in a flying carpet, the story of the ant. Muhammad, he told them that gold and silver grow in the value of the ants, which is true. Ask Trump. Ask Trump. You know the value of the ants. That's why he want to invest there. Qatar told him what is the value of the ants. Already is there. So a God who do not even know which one he created first. A God who contradicts himself. That's your God. It's just an idiot. Is fictional, never exist. It's a pagan God, exists by the Aramaic long before you Muslims. And maybe next time we will find a better, brave, little brave Muslims, like the one who called me last time. He was so brave, and then he got more deep and deep in trouble, and his bravery became a cowardness, and he ran away. The second he noticed that his God is an ant. I mean, the Quran made by an ant. Have you ever heard of an ant making Quran? And then they say to you, who can make Quran like this Quran? The ant did. Shaitan did too, according to the Quran. Everybody can make Quran. And by the way, can anyone make books like mine? I challenge you. Deception of Allah, Quran and science in depth. 6 on Allah. Can Allah make books like mine? He cannot. I challenge you. I challenge Allah. I challenge Muhammad. I challenge all the Muslims. You cannot. Can you make even the title like my title? You cannot. I have copyright over it. When I was writing this book, I said what I will call it. The publisher, they told me this is very tough name. I mean, it's not like it's so like straightforward. I said, yeah. So what? I said, but it's hard to to publish it. I said, no, don't worry about it. It's going to be published, and people would love to know about sex and Allah, because this is nothing but a sexual God. Don't forget to get my book, Sex and Allah. And you Muslims, if you read it, you will get so horny. And you will find a lot of surprises. Yeah. So anyway, I want to say thank you all for being here. May the Lord bless you. And I hope that our good Lord, our good God, is going always to be with us, helping us to open the eyes of many. We open the eye of nobody. You do knock at the door of Jesus, and he open for you. If you are blind, you will see. If you are deaf, you will hear. If you are a person who cannot walk, you will walk. Walk with the Lord. He will make you free from all disability. And the most important disability human being he have is when he forsake God. For those who forsake God, God will forsake them and send them to hell. So don't abandon your master, your Lord, your creator. He loves you. He created you to be his child. You refuse his love, that is the biggest ever lost in your life. Because after that, nothing can be considered as a lost. You lose money, you can make money. You get sick, maybe you can recover again. But you lose God, you lost everything. This is why the Messiah, he says, fear not those who destroy the flesh, but those who destroy your spirit. The spirit. So those who their spirit is with God, they will live forever. And those who their spirit with the devil, they will go to the kingdom of the devil, which is hell. So I say to you, either with God you will be, and you will live forever with him as a child of God, or you will be in hell with the devil, Muhammad, and his fake gods, forever in hell and darkness. And always remember one thing, that we are not wrestling against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authority, against the cosmic power over this present. And imagine those words written long time ago, but if you check them out, you will find this is exactly what's happening then and now. Nothing changed. Authority is against Christianity. Authority discriminating us. Authority capturing, killing us. Authority around the world. Fight nobody except Christianity. Rulers, leaders, businessmen, rich people, all of them, they are against us. It is a cosmic power of darkness. We're fighting against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. The Bible never lies, and every word there is true. Read this verse carefully and check it out. You will find how truthful it is, and nothing changed. And always, always, we will be victorious, no matter what, no matter how strong they are. In fact, they are violent against us because they are weak. They kill us because they cannot refute us. They torture us because our pain brings joy to them, for they are evil. But within inside them, they knew they are a bunch of losers. You know, when Neron he burned Rome. He lost Rome. He thought he is done. He thought the Christians are gone. He thought by burning the city, he got the city. And right now, there's a tomb of Peter there, not the emperor of Rome. So the one you discriminate, glorified, and the one who killed him is gone, and he is nobody. So with the Christ, we are always victorious. And remember, Christ taught you, you cannot be warm, either hot or cold. If you are just warm, if you drink warm water, it's disgusting. So either hot or cold, which means you have to have differentiation between what is right and what's wrong. You cannot be so-so. You cannot be half wicked, half good. You cannot be half believer, half disbeliever. You cannot be have holy and have filthy. You cannot be dark and light at the same time. The Bible says light and darkness cannot be under one roof. So remember, if you are so, you are doomed. If you are in the darkness side, you are doomed. If you are a follower of Jesus, you are saved. So you have to choose side. Not everyone says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of my Father, but the one who do his will. And that is a question you need to ask yourself, and I ask myself always. Am I doing the will of the Father? Sometimes I say, no, I'm not. I feel bad. I fight my sin. I conquer my sin. I destroy my sin. Fight. Be a warrior. And the first fight you fight is the own sin you have. So you can be a warrior for Christ, and you can be joining the army of the crusade. And we are the crusade. God is good. So is Jesus. And we are the crusade. See ya.